Today we are going to talk on the topic of how to avoid overthinking. So my name is Anya and I'm happy to welcome everyone with us. So Vivek, could you please say a little about the topic, about this issue which people are facing nowadays?
Yes, Anya, we are going to talk about overthinking and how we can get rid of problems related to overthinking and avoid overthinking. And thank you for this conversation with me on this topic. It's very interesting that you and I, we agree that overthinking is something which causes some problems in life and we can overcome it. And there are some ways, there are some reasons, there are some causes. So I will basically focus on what are the causes of overthinking, what are the reasons of overthinking, why we spend so much time in worrying about things which may not even happen, which normally don't happen. And we spend so much time just fretting, fuming. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this person doesn't like me? What if so and so is against me? And on social media also nowadays, where somebody might think that why didn't this friend of mine like my post? So overthinking generally is increasing, and the problems associated with it are stress and fear, and also physical health also suffers at times because when we are mentally stressed out, then our bodily cells are also not very happy. So I think overall the objective is to avoid overthinking, to have a decluttered mind, to have a positive mindset, a clear mindset, and therefore get on with life in a happy, constructive way rather than a worry, negative, overthinking way. So that's the overall scenario.
Yes, it's really like the question which many people are facing nowadays with much of the information around. And at the same time, sometimes seems like you want to feel just free from that. You just want to feel relaxed and really to enjoy life without all this much pressure. So I think it will be very interesting to discuss.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I also feel that I'll give you an example. There was a young man who was just started a career. He was 5 years into his career, and he started, using a lot of technology, like we all do. We are connected through technology even now. You are in a different place. I'm in a different place, so technology is necessary. But this man was over involved with technology all the time. He had three phones. One was in one pocket, another in another pocket, and he had another phone which was in his hand all the time. He would use one phone for his family, one phone for his office, one phone for his computer data or email or whatever it was. So he was over technology friendly. And all the time he was living a virtual life. His brain was always switched off. So it was never that he was just sitting with devices off, reading a book, or just looking at the trees and the birds and sitting in a garden. And that led to a breakdown. Within 5 years, in fact, in 6 months after 5 years, when he became a senior executive, he had so much work that in 6 months he stressed himself out. He had to be in hospital. So his doctor advised him throw away two of your phones out of the three, and then your life will declutter. You don't switch on your phone before 9 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at least, and in the evening switch it off after 7 o'clock. Your life will be much better. So his mind was too occupied and thinking, which we also tend to do at times, maybe not to the extent that he was doing, but most people in the world are today always on. So our mind is always on. We never switch it off or pause button like we pause the computer or we pause put it on sleep mode. We only rest when we actually go to sleep ourselves. When we go to sleep ourselves, then we are passively energizing the body. So what I have read about energizing the body and mind is that we have to actively energize the body and mind. While sleeping, it is necessary because our battery is out and we need to sleep. But if we actually sit down and do something constructive, which is not over worrying, not overthinking, peaceful mind, peaceful way of living, then we are actively energizing the body and mind, and we will do much better in that way. So I think that is what really I want to talk about.
Yeah, that's very really interesting point, and very important that to do something constructive, because when we are touching about overthinking, it's usually something which is nobody knows will it happen or will not happen, and which in fact in usually not bringing anything in reality except the destruction. So yes, it's really important to understand what is constructive in our life.
Yes, absolutely. And like we were discussing earlier, mind wandering is taking place, which is the real problem. So you and I are in a conversation right now on camera and we are recording. It will be played live later, but we are thinking only about this conversation at the moment. We cannot allow ourselves to start thinking, what food will I eat in the evening? Which match will I watch tomorrow? How are my children doing at the moment? Because if I start doing that, then you will be talking about overthinking and I will be talking about my children and my food. So I have to focus. Whereas if I allow my mind to wander when I'm not in a live conversation or a recording, I am free to think anything. So my book is there, my papers are there, my work is there, but I am thinking about my relationships, my friends, my enemies, my problems, my installments which I have to pay, or my loan, or my new shampoo, or it could be about some thing to do with the pandemic, my health. So all the time I'm wandering from the present moment and the task at hand to something which is not relevant for me at that moment. And I'm thinking about the future mostly. So I'm thinking, will I be successful in this? Will I be able to clear that interview? Will I be able to win that battle with that person or that target? Can I achieve that target which the company has given me? Of course, that is work related. But whatever we are doing at the moment, we need to concentrate on that. You know, Anya, even for 5 minutes, people cannot concentrate on one thing at a time. So for 5 minutes, you're reading a piece of paper, one or a book, one page you read. After one page, you check your phone, who has sent me a message, then you go to Instagram, then you go to Facebook, then you go to various places. You come back after 10 minutes to that book, you read another 5 minutes, and after again 5 minutes, you go for another 10 minutes. So actually, you sat down for reading a book for 1 hour, and you actually read it only for 20 minutes, and 40 minutes you were wandering. This is the pain and this is the problem. So mind wandering is something which even scientists and doctors are studying. How can people be more focused and why are they so much wandering? And like we were discussing, even the past, like for example, in your life or my life, there may be something in the past which I want to, which I keep thinking of, oh, why did this happen to me? If that had not happened, I would have been more outstanding, a better life, a better, greater person, more friends, more likable. So I think that is the problem. We need to focus on the present because the present moment is where we can do everything that we are doing. What do you think?
Yes, it's really very important. And even if we're touching, for example, the topic about thinking about future, it's sometimes you can, not sometimes, usually, you can bring it to the present. Like if you have something, what you need to do, you just can think what I can do right now. And if there is actually something what you can do right now, then yes, it's useful. If you cannot do something right now, you can write it on the paper, for example. And okay, I will not forget about it. And I will also do it, but little later. So in such a way, it's a little bit practical how this wondering about future things, even plans, because anyway, we're all thinking what to buy, what we need to do during the daytime and so on, because this is a simple task which we have every day. But question how we are managing it, that we are really making it constructive or we are just spending time on something which is not working at the moment.
Very true, absolutely true. Constructive is the key. And as we discussed, what am I going to do with my present moments? That is the key to life. So if a young person is worried about his job, first job, I'm in university or college and I want to study hard and get a good job, and I'm worrying about it, I won't be able to perform well in the exam and interview because I'm so scared. If I fail, then what will happen to me or what will be? So worrying is a break. And I read a lot of stories by Paramahansa Yogananda in his autobiography. He says worry is a break. He says you are pressing the accelerator of your life and you are worrying and also pressing the brake at the same time. How can you move forward? So basically, we need to avoid worrying about things which are not really worth it. And another thing, Anya, is that people may not be always kind to us. And we are sensitive, right? Human beings are sensitive. Somebody said something to me 1 year ago, and I see him again at the school or at the office or at a party. Oh no, this person, he spoke badly to me 1 year ago. So I start thinking about that. I go through the same pain again. I relive that moment. And I am always, in the past if I keep doing that. And then if I forgive that person, so now coming to one of the solutions to overthinking, forgiveness. You forgive somebody who was bad to you. He was not really bad to you. He just said something out of, maybe he was drunk or maybe he was feeling low or maybe you provoked him or whatever reason. Or maybe he's a bad person. It doesn't matter. You forgive him in your mind. I don't want to have anything to do with this person. He spoke badly to him, but to me, but I'm not going to worry about it. So I forgive him in my mind. I come up with a solution to my overthinking. That's one of the solutions. Of course, we'll talk about meditation and sports and reading and creativity also as solutions to this problem. But one of the problems can be solved by forgiving people who have been bad.
Yes, it's in fact very important. And here, when I'm thinking about this forgiving and when someone did something, actually, for myself, I was previously thinking that there is not a single person who is doing something bad intentionally. Usually, person who is doing something, either maybe he was in trouble at that moment, or maybe because person who is feeling good and happy, he will not hurt others, he or she. So that's why when we're talking about that someone did something towards you, and when you try to understand that person, then here is like automatically coming like, I don't know what was happening with that person. I don't know why. So here automatically coming this concept of forgiving. You're not simply forgiving, you're trying to understand. And at the same time, it's very interesting that we all are changing. And when one person is usually every day studying something, changing, learning something, and we know that it's in our hand to change our habits, to change even our character. So when we see some person who, for example, did something not very good in our opinion in previous, but after a few years, you meet that person, you don't know, maybe he also changed. And in such a way, if like, yes, we sometimes feel a little careful because we were hurt once and we want to protect ourselves. But at the same time, you can give person opportunity to be different when you look like with new eyes, with open eyes. And maybe that person changed, and maybe it could be completely different friendly relationships. So it's really interesting when you just give this freedom for yourself to develop and for the other people to see how they are, because people also changing, and it's really wonderful.
Truly, truly, I totally agree with you. Your incident, which you mentioned, I can add one incident. Let's say in a home there is a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Many times they live together. In India, it's quite a lot of times. And on a small thing, and obviously the man of the house or the husband of the younger lady and the son of the older lady is somebody who they both are very possessive and fond of, and they love him dearly, one in a motherly way, one in a husband or wife way. And they both don't see eye to eye at times because it's a traditional story, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, but it can be solved by just being a little more patient and understanding and not thinking, go on thinking, why did my mother-in-law say this? I want to get revenge. When my husband comes back, I will tell him that, your mother was so bad to me today, or I mean, if she was really bad, then obviously you have to tell. But if she was not that bad, it was okay, then this is one example. Second example I can give is two colleagues in an office, and one of them is a complaining type, and the other one is a cool type. So we find all kinds of people in the world, and these two are in the same branch or the same next to each other, and the boss is the same. So one of them goes to the boss and says, sir, this colleague X, and he was behaving in a different way. He was saying something about you, and that was not very good, sir. I think he should not have said that about you. Now, when that other person goes to the boss, he says, So were you talking about me and something you said? No, sir. I never said anything like that, sir. I was generally talking that sometimes bosses can be very difficult. I was not talking about, I think there was some conversation about bosses generally. So the first person has just complained. Now, what happens is that if I am the second person who was not at fault, or I am the boss, I can either ignore the point, or I can go on thinking about it. Go on thinking, overthinking, overthinking. Then it becomes what in India is, there's a Hindi term we use, it's known as Baat ka Batangad. Baat ka Batangad basically means that you exaggerate something beyond proportion. It was a little thing like this, but it has become so big. So that is something which gossip or rumors or complaining attitudes can bring, and then the person becomes totally a warrior. As I was mentioning somewhere, it is not to be. We should not be warriors. We should be warriors. Warrior fighting the battle of life, and the battle of life is fought in the mind. And the mind is obviously going to take tricks at times. So and so is against you. The landlord is asking for too much rent, or this boss is not giving me a raise. These negative thoughts come because we are human, but we need to vanquish them. We need to, beat them. We need to see the better picture of life. So I'll just give you a quote here, Anya, that there's a person called Stan Dale. And Stan Dale, who was a famous writer, he said, I live as if everybody in the world is my well-wisher. Now, if everybody in the world is my well-wisher, then when I sleep at night, I don't have any worries. Because I think they are my well-wisher. They may not be. There may be two people who are against me. But at night, I have no worries. I sleep peacefully. I wake up peacefully. I live a healthy life. I don't worry and overthink. So I think these kinds of people who overthink and worry are different from those who are cool and smiling and calm and gentle. So we have to be the type who's slightly more positive and cheerful and calm.
Yes, it's very true. And at the same time, many people are saying we see in others that which what we more prevailing in ourselves. So person who trying always to be positive, as you're saying, cheerful, calm, and so on, they first of all observe the similar things in others, and they first of all search the similar things in others.
Yes.
Because person who is feeling irritated or angry with some situation, they will look at others and first of all search in them these negative points. And that's why it's very important also how we are looking, because everything is only our perception. It's because sometimes one person can say something, and if it's some far our friend whom we see once in 10 years, we will not care about it. But if, for example, it's some close person who you accept like someone whom you love or who is close to you, then the same words will give completely different impact. Why? It's only our perception. It's only to what we are giving more value. So that's why it's very important truly to be positive, to look at the best in other people. And first of all, when you're developing best in yourself, then really you will see more better in other people as well.
I totally agree. How we relate to other people is totally important. So, what are we overthinking about? One is our future, career, and everything, promotion and things. Second, we are thinking about relationships, overthinking. So and so is being harsh to me or bad to me. Or you have somebody, a young boy has a girlfriend, and that girlfriend was talking to somebody else. So you think, so what if she starts, cheating, or she's running away and she's going to go with that boy and she's not going to be with me anymore? I'm overthinking. And she may be just talking to him for something else, gone out for a coffee, or it's okay. So the point is that we start fearing the worst. Instead of fearing the worst, we start hoping for the best. That is what having a positive attitude, like Stan Dale, helps us. Even if something goes wrong, we are able to tackle it better. But let me come up with a couple of more solutions. What are the solutions then? We have talked about forgiveness. We've talked about, just being a little more patient and calm and cool, not complaining. Another way to do it is to just consciously move on. You move on in life. Your attitude is one of not, spending time thinking about the past and even yesterday, what happened, or last month. So another saying that we have in India is Raat gai, baat gai. The night is over, whatever was discussed is over, and that fact is over. So now it's a new day, a new opportunity. So if we think like that, then because ultimately the present is the only asset we have. The present is in my hand and your hand, and any human being's hand. The past is gone. The future has not come. So we don't have it. We only have the present. And there is a quote also which says, the present moment is a present. It's like a gift to us. So that gift, that present is something we need to use well. And therefore move on from the past, move forward in life, and be happy and cheerful. Now, I give my example. I used to be in government service and I quit. And I'm very happy that I quit. I never look back and think, oh, what if I'd stayed another 10 years? Why did I quit? You know, there are so many plus points of being in the government service. You have a vehicle, you have a driver, you have an office, you have salary. Now I get salary from somewhere else. I speak professionally, I write professionally, I have more followers. I see the happier side of life. So why should I be complaining about my past or about the present and worrying about the future? So I think most of the time we do stagnate in a particular place. We need to move on and try and find things which are better. And the second point in this particular answer I'll give you in this particular part of the program is that we also need to be creatively occupied. You know, creative occupation means that I should not be only doing work. I should not be only thinking about numbers and money and share market and blah, blah. I also need to make some interest, maybe draw a painting like behind me or behind you, and something else which is beautiful, maybe photography or music, or maybe art, maybe poetry, sports. These creative pursuits also lead to less worries, less overthinking, and our happy hormones are released if we are into such things. I think creativity is a great asset. You are also involved with the creative society. So, what are your thoughts on creativity?
Yes, in fact, when we are talking about creativity, actually, nowadays many people are saying creativity it's only about art, about singing, and something like that. But I think creativity is something which is related to life, which is related to every person. It's something natural because when person is creating, we are creating everywhere. And no matter you are cooking for your family, or you are making a painting, or maybe you are building a house and keeping the bricks, you are creating something. And in fact, every person is creating at every moment. We are creating atmosphere around us, how we are talking, how we are smiling or not smiling to another person. We are already creating some atmosphere. And at the same time, for me, this creativity is something very deep and natural for every person. It's an every person really enjoy life. And then no matter what you are doing, will it be painting, will it be music, or as I said, maybe you're keeping bricks to build a house, but you will do it with this love, with this joy from what you're doing. And then this is really like in every human, this natural state to give, to share, to create something. And if we will look, even if person is feeling like, okay, I don't want to do anything, well, maybe half a day he will lay on the sofa and do nothing. But then he will stand up and think, no, I cannot lay so more. And I will stand up and do something because it's very natural state. So for me, creativity, it's in everything. It depends how you do that. And it depends on every human.
Absolutely. I think how you are is what matters, not what you do. If you are a creative person by heart, just by nature, then in everything, as you say, we will be creative. So you get up in the morning, you are basically creative about life, you have inspiration, you are energetic, you are not feeling dull at any moment in your life. Maybe sometimes we feel low and dull, it's okay, but not every day, every hour, every 2 hours. It's not a habit, it should not become a habit. And nowadays, I also want to talk a little more about what is social media doing. Social media is leading to a lot of overthinking. You know, it is basically the young people will think that so and so did not see my message. I'm waiting for the blue text to come in WhatsApp. I'm waiting for the Facebook like. I'm waiting for the Instagram like or the message on Instagram. So social media is where lots of people live, young and not so young also. And then their expectations lead to overthinking. Why has so and so not liked my previous 3 posts? You know, young school or college student might think like that. because they have that sensitivity. And therefore, they think that this person is annoyed with me or jealous of me or not liking me anymore. And I start feeling insecure. So, insecurity is also tied up with the social media. And if I am not getting as many popularity likes or comments as somebody else is getting, again, I'm overthinking. So, this stress, this tension, this kind of negativity of overthinking is leading to my physical, spiritual, and mental detriment. I'm not being as well off in life as I should be. And ultimately, in India, we say that a human being is a body, mind, and soul. We have to nourish the body, nourish the mind, and nourish the soul. How do we do that? The body we nourish by healthy diet, by physical exercise, by adequate sleep and hygiene, and that's how it is. And the mind we should nourish by good conversations, by balanced inputs from here and there. If we keep listening to the TV news all the day long, we will go mad because TV news is full of negative thoughts at times. If we are watching sports, we are full of positivity. But if we are into gossip or rumors or criticizing or too much of crime discussions, then we are not feeding the mind properly. And the soul is even more important. It's the most important. So we need to actually nourish the soul by reading scriptures or spiritual books and by meditation and prayer, whichever religion we follow, or if we don't follow any religion also. We can find peace if we meditate. And if first I'll ask you to give your thoughts on meditation, then I'll also give some idea on how we can actually become much healthier physically, mentally, and spiritually. And the negative effects of overthinking can go away if we meditate. What do you think?
Yes, in fact, meditation is one also of the tools. And here, for sure, coming how people are using these tools for which goals and so on. But I'm agree that meditation can be a good tool to learn how to actually manage your body and your mind as well. So even how to learn how to avoid thoughts, for example, and how to concentrate. So this is also one of the tools which people can use. And at the same time, it's very important also how we in daily life, how we are doing that, how we actually at every moment, because meditation is just a small part somewhere you just spend some time. Not all people sometimes getting time for that, but it's also important how you're doing during the life, during your simple day, where you're looking. The more you're wandering in future, in the past, or you're actually more concentrated on what you're doing as of now. So yes, that is also very important.
Very, very important indeed. In fact, I will advise everybody who's watching this conversation, if you have not started meditating till today, please start from today or tomorrow. I mean, in the morning tomorrow, just sit down for 10 minutes and try and think of God or think of Almighty or think of the truth or just clear your mind of all thoughts and think of peace. And if you cannot do that, and it's very difficult to do that without any techniques, find some techniques of meditation, follow some path, go to the online site. I follow something, Anya may be following something, other people may be following something. If you are still not into meditation, please do so. It is as important as brushing your teeth or having the right food, because meditation is food for the soul. And food for the soul is extremely important to us. So we say in the scriptures here that we are a soul and we have a body. It's not the other way around that I am a body and I have a soul. I am a soul who has come to a body. So I have to nourish that soul all the time. Another way to do it, which I really love, is to read books. Reading is something which gives us joy. And too much of videos and too much of talking and too much of activity is not good for us. So we need to balance by sitting down, even for 30 minutes or 20 minutes per day. And if you're reading a book, it is almost like meditation. If it's a good, calm book, it's a nice book which is making you feel happy. Even if it's a murder mystery, it's written well and it's gripping. It is a book after all. So you have to understand that. And even if you're reading on a Kindle, it's okay nowadays, but I prefer the old type when you're holding the book in your hand and trying to, I have a book here, so let me just, you hold the book, you have it, you leaf through the pages, When you're turning the page, your mind is calming down. Another secret, apart from meditation and reading, is to declutter your surroundings also. You are overthinking because you have so many things to think about. I have to think about my TV, I have to think about my phone, I have to think about that particular piece of furniture, I have to think about these clothes, I have to think about, I have 45 different clothes to wear, so I have to select one out of 45 every day. So I have to think more about it, right? If I declutter my life a little bit materially, physically, then my mind also is decluttered. So the example I can give is of Mahatma Gandhi, and Gandhi ji was the simplest man ever because he made it a rule that I will be simple. And Gandhi ji's example is a beautiful way to end this conversation in a while. That Gandhi ji had only one table, one bed, and that bed was also, I think, just on the floor. Almost he had put his mattress, and so simple. But he knew exactly what he wanted in life. He knew his ethos, he knew about non-violence and achieving the goal of freedom for India. So the moment we become decluttered and simple, then also our worries will also go away. These days, let's say a CEO, he's worrying so much because he's got so much on his mind and plate. He's got board meetings, he's got team members, he's got clients, he's got colleagues, he's got seniors, board, some owner of the company. So we need to somehow declutter, demystify. And lastly, I would like to say that we need to spend time with family and friends. When you spend time with family and friends, your heart is singing, it is bouncing, it is happy. And when you are too much of work and too much of news and too much of tension, then your heart is sinking. So don't allow it to sink. Teach it to bounce and be happy. And I think that will, in a crux, I think that is the real solution. To be balanced, to be cheerful, and to spend time on people and things which actually matter.
Yeah, that's really true. And I just would like to finalize, as you said, that it's very important where we're putting our attention. Yes, to do more actions, do more activities which are bringing us joy. As you said, spending time with the family, doing some, having some hobbies, doing some work which is really giving us pleasure. And then really, like, as I always say, look at the kids. They find pleasure in everything and they do everything with this love and passion. So I think, yes, it's very important. And I'm very grateful for these interesting explanations and interesting tools, how actually overthinking can be avoided. So thank you so much for discussing this and for bringing interesting examples.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure.